Om Shri Sai Ram all. Koti Koti pranams at the lotus feet of our beloved Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba, with whose blessings and in whose presence we have all gathered here this evening. A warm welcome to everyone who has joined us. It is my pleasure to introduce Brother Hitesh Kara, a devoted member of the Sai family for over 20 years. His journey in Swami's fold began through his dedicated service in the Sri Sathya Sai Seva organization in Mombasa, and he continues that same spirit of commitment here in Nairobi and within the Sri Sathya Sai International Organization. Over the years, his path has been rooted in love, faith, and selfless service. Through seva, satsang, and devotion, he has remained steadfast, drawing strength and guidance from Swami's teachings. His journey reflects the quiet dedication and surrender that Swami encourages in all of us. Today, as part of the series of Sharanagatam, we are blessed to listen and reflect together. May his sharing inspire us to deepen our own faith and strengthen our commitment to the path of devotion and service. Please join me in welcoming Brother Hitesh Kara. Sai Ram.
Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurudeva Namaha. Tvameva Mata cha Pita Tvameva, Tvameva Bandhu cha Sakha Tvameva, Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva, Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Swami, you alone are my mother and father. Swami, you alone are my relative and friend. Swami, you alone are my knowledge and wealth. Swami, you are my everything, O Lord of Lords. I am blessed today to share my experiences as this series of talks of Sharanagatam. With these sacred mantras, I offer my loving and humble pranams at the lotus feet of our Bhagwan, Sri Sathya Sai Baba. In his divine presence, I will attempt to share a few experiences from my life. I sincerely seek forgiveness if there is any shortcomings in my presentation. My understanding is limited. My vision is narrow compared to the vast divine. I am only a speck in this universe. Yet Swami gives us this opportunity to speak. It is not because we are capable. It is because he wishes to speak through us. Many elders and seniors before me have far deeper and more profound experiences. I do not compare myself to them. I only share what I have lived through because it's my duty and my gratitude towards Swami. Whatever is good in the sharing belongs to Swami. Whatever is lacking belongs to me. My journey into the Sai fold. My journey began around 1998 in Mombasa. A devotee from the Nairobi Centre, Brother Satish Solanki, was visiting and expressed interest in attending bhajanas. He requested me that I accompany him. That simple invitation changed my life. From there, I was introduced to the Sai Centre in Mombasa. Brother Namgopal, one of the founding members, patiently guided me into understanding what the Sai fault truly means. Later, Brother Mahajan and many other devotees like Brother Dhiren Shah and the rest nurtured and encouraged me. I did not enter the Sai fold as a ritualistic or deeply religious person. In fact, I was never very inclined towards elaborate religious practices. I have always considered myself practical. I seek meaning. I seek application. I seek spirituality that can be lived, not just performed. And that is what drew me to Swami's teaching. His message was simple and direct. Love all, serve all. Help ever, hurt never. Why fear when I am here? These were not complicated philosophies. They were instructions for daily living. I began as serving as a secretary of the center and later had an opportunity to serve as the chair for 4 years. Even today, I am part of the center in Mombasa. I remain the bank signatory, and when I sign a check for several activities, I do not see it as an administrative role. I see it as Swami's trust in me. Swami places responsibilities on us not to elevate our status, but to test our integrity. Swami has said, love all beings, that is enough. Practice love through selfless service. By this means, you will realize unity and get rid of ego that harms. Sathya Sai speaks, volume 12. The deeper you get involved in service, the more you begin to notice his leelas. Not dramatic miracles, but quite powerful interventions that guide events beyond our capacity. Sai-Net project, learning to go beyond limits. One of my early transformative experiences was during the Sai-Net project in the coastal region. Jointly with the Sai Centre in Nairobi, we distributed over 50,000 mosquito nets. Several Mombasa Centre devotees were actively involved. We would work late into the night, planning logistics, organizing volunteers, writing distribution vouchers, meeting government officials, and yet next morning we would report to our regular jobs as if nothing had happened. Strangely, we did not feel tired. Physically, it should not have been possible. But when service is done with devotion, energy flows differently. I learned practical skills. I would like to use the word we, because we are a team. We learned practical skills to coordinate, document, and accountability. But more important, we learned surrender. Many times, we did not know how things would work out. Yet, we moved forward with one simple inner assurance. Why fear when I am here? Just to add a few lines here, at that time we used to be scared or created fear that when you go for distribution, you might have a crowd which will overcrowd you, they might become rowdy, you need a lot of protection and all those things. But let me assure you, in all the camps, I think majority of the camps were done in the coast region. Not even a single incident happened. And we are very blessed with Swami's grace to have taken part in that Seva activity. Seva without resources, the famine relief. The backstory is that Mombasa Centre was very strong on Seva activities. And anytime we hear there is a need somewhere, a few devotees, youngsters, we were blessed to have youngsters, would gather together and just come up with an idea. The idea was just that we have to do something. And most of us were empty on pockets, but great on ideas. And I'm going to narrate something here which expounds on that. In the early 2000s, the coastal region of Kenya experienced severe famine. With guidance from the government authorities south of Mombasa, approximately 60 kilometers away from the city, we resolved to undertake relief seva in the affected area. The estimated budget for this initiative was about 1 million shillings Kenyan. That was a task. At that time, we did not even have sufficient funds. In fact, we barely had any. All we had was an intention that we must serve. The need is now. We can't wait. We can't plan for months and months to get the funds and the things in kind. It almost felt like a crazy idea. But when seva is sincere, solutions appear. Donations came in cash and in kind. Not only did we meet the target, we actually exceeded it. We distributed more than anticipated. After the distribution, as we were leaving, again incident-free, people are overjoyed. You have actually given them life by giving them some food and some toiletry. Rain began to fall. In the middle of famine, rain. Was it coincidence? Perhaps some would say so. In that moment, both the giver and the receiver were blessed. As Swami says in Sathya Sai Speaks, you are not the doer. You are only the instrument. The power is mine. That day I understood something deeply. Swami does not need our help to serve. He doesn't need our help. He allows us to participate so that we may grow spiritually in His fold. I will repeat. Swami does not need our help to serve. He allows us to participate so that we may grow spiritually. The 8-day medical camp, a lesson in faith. One of the biggest test camp when we decided to host an 8-day medical camp in a rural area, which was about 45 kilometers away from Mombasa town. Going every day morning, coming back, have evening functions. satsang and the rest. And then early morning, volunteers used to go very early. By 6 a.m. they are there, prepare the venue for the medical camp. And then by 8 o'clock, the doctors and the other medical staff would arrive. We had no prior experience of organizing something of that scale. Basically, we were doing some basic seva activities, food seva mainly. We had never done a medical camp. And Swami threw an opportunity at us for 8 days. Handful of devotees. At that time, we would be only like 15 devotees max, and maybe 5 or 7 who are actively participating. They have never done a big seva, never hosted volunteers from abroad. We had to do the following. We didn't have an account, so we had to open an account because the funds required and the budget was quite high. We had to receive donations in cash and kind while keeping records. Secure government permissions, hospital permissions, it was a different county and all those things. Doctors from abroad requires licensing. There was a special requirement to have licenses done, temporary licenses to practice. Arrange accommodation for foreign volunteers. A host of foreign volunteers had come, not less than 15. So all the arrangements of accommodation and food was on the center. Arrange food and transport for 150 local volunteers. Every day, about 150 volunteers from Mombasa would join, local doctors, nurses, and general volunteers. Clear medical equipment at the airport. That was one of the biggest concerns. The team was coming with a huge amount of medicines as donation from abroad. Dr. Upadhyay, Sister Urvi were the team leads in that seva. We were amateurs, but the work turned out to be professional. That day, at that time, we realized how Swami makes you the real instrument. He guides you. He trains you into various roles and encourages you to take up significant challenges. He tests you to the limit. Nothing comes easy. I narrated the last time one of the incidents is during such a medical camp. I remember one incident clearly. 15 doctors and volunteers came from UK, arrived with medical equipment and medicines. We were anxious what would transpire. Would immigration and customs create delays? Would the equipment be questioned? Not a single box was opened. Not a single person was questioned. Everything cleared smoothly. At that moment, I remembered a powerful analogy. We are like the dog walking under a bullock cart, thinking that I am carrying the Lord. Not L-O-R-D, L-O-A-D. We say, I did this. We are very profound in saying such things. I arranged that. But truly, it is ignorance at play. If we say, I did this, we lose the blessings. If we say, Swami did it through me, we grow spiritually. You are not the doer. You are only the instrument. The power is His. At this point, Today we selected the committee for the next 2 years, right? All the committee members, remember these words. As I congratulate you on your appointment, you are not the doer. Brother Neeraj, you are not the doer. You are only the instrument. The power is His. Sai Vision, the gift of sight. After the success of medical camp, the Mombasa Centre vowed at the lotus feet of Swami that Him being the guide and His grace, the centre will embark on cataract surgeries. We dubbed it as Sai Vision. It was supposed to be a long-standing Sai mission, Sai Vision eye camps. The principle was very clear. Conduct camps far from Mombasa town, where the need is greatest. Unlike in the coastal area, the rural areas are very poor and relatively uneducated. So they don't understand most of these medical challenges. They believe it is an evil eye or something which is greater than what we understand. One of the very important criteria in the Mombasa Centre was and is that the Sai family should participate as a team. And they should be present in all sevas. All these sevas I am going to describe. It is done with participation of the devotees physically. And ensure the camp is conducted with love and gratitude. So when we serve the patient, we have to do it with love and care. We can't leave it on the medical teams, which are a third party, and they would be not as loving as probably as we think. For more than 2 decades, the center has kept the light burning or the lamp burning of cataract camps. In my estimate, over 2,000 less fortunate members of our society have been served in this seva. There is no joy like seeing an elderly person regain sight after surgery. Someone who has been dependent on others suddenly regain independence. Small children born with cataracts, whose parents could not afford surgery, begin to see clearly. For a child, a young child, it is a gift of a lifetime. I'm not very sure if members here know that a child can be born with cataract. And we have done surgeries on infants who cannot even eat at that point in time. That's an amazing seva we have been doing in the past. If you feed a hungry person, he may be hungry again in few hours. But if you restore sight, the gratitude lasts a lifetime. So my personal lessons, which I would like to say here. Through Sai Vision, I've learned humility. I learned gratitude for my own health. I have learned what cataract truly means because later in my life, I myself underwent a cataract surgery at a relatively young age. Baba's ways are mysterious. He gave me a practical experience. So I'll just narrate a bit more here. Around an age of 40 years, after conducting quite a number of Sai Vision camps, all of a sudden I felt that my one eye is having a problem. On medical checkup, I was told it's a cataract operation. So Baba actually made me experience at a younger age what I was feeling and what others at an elderly age feels. And when the cataract is removed, what is the feeling you get? It was an immense experience. I would just like to put into perspective here that when I say that I experienced, I have the comfort of the family, the financials, and living in a modern house where every facility is within the house. Imagine someone living in a village. If you know how the locals live, their house is a room, the washrooms and other facilities are outside. They call it in the boma. That's how the coastal people live. So if someone is elderly and has to go to a washroom at night, imagine the challenge. And they do not live as extended family. They live as individuals in one bomas. So shouting for someone to come and help so that the person can go to a washroom. Just visualize this thing. So my experience, was that coincidence? Was Swami teaching me empathy? Was Swami teaching me empathy? When you serve, he refines you. Sometimes he takes you through some of these experiences so that you understand what you are doing is how it is helping the society. Every experience, pleasant or painful, mine might be considered as a painful one, becomes part of a spiritual growth. Swami says, service to man is service to God. These are very simple teachings, which is very dear to me. The power of Vibhuti, personal experience. Early in my Sai journey, some guests were staying at our home before traveling overnight by bus from Mombasa to Nairobi. Their son developed severe diarrhea and was extremely weak. They were considering cancelling the trip. I remember reading in the Shirdi Sai Satcharitra that prayer with sacred ash, Udi, faith can heal. Faith can heal. I asked their permission. I took a pinch of Vibhuti from my prayer room. Prayed sincerely before Baba's photo. Mixed the Vibhuti in the water and gave the boy to drink. In a short time, the diarrhea stopped. The boy traveled safely without further episodes. Was it medicine? Was it faith? I only know that faith combined with prayers create calm and healing follow. Swami says, as is your faith, so is the result. I would like to add here that the same family, can't call them non-believers because we all believe in Swami indirectly or directly, and their extended family developed faith in Baba by this simple incident. Kidney stone. About 4 years back, I suddenly experienced intense back pain while at work. I was already at work and pain started. It worsened rapidly. I could barely sit. The HR requested me to go home and seek medical advice. I could not even sit in the car driven by a driver. I usually drive myself, but I had requested for a driver. I had to stop the car twice or thrice to just get out and just make my body straight. On the way, I called a doctor friend, and he said he suspects it is kidney stone and advised for CT scan. I reached home, I was in immense pain, and because of the pain, I was nauseating and started vomiting. While at home, my wife Jalpa, whose faith is stronger than mine, mixed Vibhuti in water and gave it to me. Thereafter, we left for the hospital. We were living very close to MP Shah Hospital. Before reaching the hospital, the pain began to subside. By the time I underwent the scan, if anyone knows about it, you are forced to drink a lot of water. The results indicated, and it showed evidence of the kidney stone that had likely already passed. And see how Baba gives you a magnificent experience. I called the doctor friend. He's a very big doctor in Nairobi. Anyone knows him? Dr. Hooker. I called him and said that I don't have pain. I have the results of CT scan. What do I do next? He said, go and see a nephrologist. We went to Aga Khan Hospital with the CT scan. The doctor wasn't there. The doctor wasn't there. So he said, I'm talking to the doctor. He'll prescribe for me the medicines on phone. Take the medication. If I'm still not okay tomorrow, then I book an appointment to go and see him. I have not gone to see him. The pain never reoccurred. Was it that simple Vibhuti which was mixed with divine energy, which helped me? Was it magic? Was it magic? No, it was faith meeting grace. His grace was important. Again, I do not exaggerate this as a dramatic miracle. I simply acknowledge that Swami's Leelas operate quietly. As we always say that you have a radio at home, all the frequencies of all the radio stations are around us. But if you're able to tune into the right frequency, you can hear the right channel or station you want to hear. It is now, what I'm trying to say is that we actually tune ourselves to that frequency. And you can realize that Swami is with us. we are able to tune ourselves with Swami. Strangers who appeared. This is an incident very many years ago, more than 20 years ago. I was traveling with my family to go to a place called Makinan Pir. It's about 90 kilometers from Mombasa. It's a Muslim dargah where we go regularly to bow our head as a religious, spiritual practice, at least once in a year. As I was driving towards Makinan Pir for darshan, the car which we were traveling began overheating. Steam rose from the radiator. I had limited car mechanics knowledge. So the previous day, I had taken the car for checkup at a petrol station, and probably the person who was filling in the coolant did not lock the cap properly. So it was half open, and because of the radiator heating, it steamed and the water level went down. Suddenly, as we stopped on the roadside, middle of nowhere, even not halfway through the journey, far from Mariakani town, we stopped the car. Suddenly, two gentlemen arrived from the opposite direction. So if the car is here, they came from the opposite direction. Can't forget such incidences. Initially, I felt cautious. Are they coming to attack me? Because I was with a family. But it was daytime, it wasn't night. But they calmly assessed the situation. They offered to help. Arranged water. Carefully opened the radiator cap. It was steaming, so it was boiling, bubbling. Filled with the water they brought. Even gave me instructions. Flush the system at the next town, Mariakani. So they did not just fill the radiator. They told me, as you go along, stop. There is a way you can flush the whole thing and refill it up nicely. Because of the bubbles, there might be a lot of water gap inside. They asked for nothing. When I offered a small token, they accepted modestly and left. They appeared from nowhere and disappeared the same way. Swami says in Satyam Shivam Sundaram, I come in many forms. Perhaps that day, Swami came in that form, or sent help. God's miracles are not always spectacular. Often, they are gentle acts of grace. So again, reminding the tuning, maybe he realized from an inner thought that I was in distress, he sent help. Or he came himself. I remember Dr. Gadhia mentioning the same thing in his autobiography, and I think Brother Rashmi Kamdar also mentioned the same thing. It happened in the hospital. Once you are in tune with the thoughts, the grace flows. Father's anxiety, a lesson in surrender. When my daughter Bhakti received admission at the University of Toronto, it was during the COVID pandemic. Her student visa were delayed because of the pandemic. Only about 14 days remained before the classes began. So just to bring or draw a picture, Because of the pandemic, there was a lot of delays in all the processes. And Canada had 14-day quarantine period in a hotel. Tickets, because she's traveling for studies, it was one-way ticket. Tickets were almost 3 times the value. A ticket which would have costed us about $900 costed us $2,400. That even under pressure to accept within few hours. I have a family member, my brother, who stays in Canada. She had never traveled alone internationally. We were not allowed to join her. At that time there were restrictions, parents cannot accompany the child. Canada required 14-day quarantine at that time. We were anxious about her travel, her safety. She's still a teenager at that time. There is transit to happen because from here to Canada takes roughly 24 hours the whole time. And in between a transit period of 8 to 10 hours. Being young, never traveled, time differences. Obviously, we were very concerned that she can miss something. And because of COVID, things can just spiral out seriously in the wrong direction. And obviously, the cost. Even if you take hotel quarantine of $100 per day, 14-day quarantine means $1,400. Alone, isolated, it can have other medical or mental effects, which we are very aware of what was happening during that time. Just one day before the departure, so everything was done in a hurry. So just one day before the departure, the government of Canada relaxed the rules, allowing home quarantine for 10 days only. It was an immense relief. Immense. Now she can quarantine herself for 10 days at my brother's residence. This is where things start becoming a bit weird, or his grace starts showing up. At the airport, there was a long queue. If you remember, whoever traveled during that time, there was a booth at the departure center of the normal departure and the UN departure gate. So by the time we reached there, we were always advised to go about 4 hours early, not the normal 3 hours. We saw that the queue to go into the normal departure gate was beyond the booth for the COVID, almost reaching the UN gate. So she joined the queue, the line. From nowhere, an airport staff comes, stops her, and the people behind her, a few of them, who have now joined her, and takes them through the UN gate. That's UN diplomatic gate directly into the terminal. By the time she had already checked in, the person she left in the normal queue was still outside, but she had already checked in. In that emotional moment, your firstborn traveling and all the emotions, the overwhelming as parents, one thought came clearly. Why fear when I am here? Faith does not remove responsibility. Does not remove responsibility. We must act. But faith removes anxiety. When you have faith, it reduces the burden of fear. She completed her quarantine, missed only the initial few days of classes. Today she continues her journey independently in a foreign land. When we take one step towards God, He takes 10 towards us. When He confirms His presence. In our tradition, we are reminded that Lord's assurance often comes quietly, in simple and natural ways. In Sri Sathya Sai Charitra records many such instances in the life of Sai Baba of Shirdi, where devotees experience His presence not through spectacle, but through timely and meaningful occurrences. Installation of the idol. 2 years ago, we moved into a new residence, which we have named it as Sai Mom. With gratitude, we organized Sai Bhajans at home. Sai devotees from the Nairobi Centre, family and friends gathered in prayer. Inwardly, I invited Swami to bless the occasion. I think it's very natural whenever we have functions. Even this event today, we invite his presence. After the bhajans, a colleague at work unexpectedly gifted me an idol of Shirdi Sai Baba. I received it with reverence and later installed it in my prayer room. So the story behind the idol was, and a relative of his had given him the idol. But because he is not a follower of Sai, he felt that he should give it to me, and he brought it during that bhajan. The moment was simple, yet meaningful. In the Sri Sathya Charitra, there are instances where Baba would appear in different forms or arrange circumstances so that the devotee felt assured of his presence in their homes, sometimes through a photograph, a paduka, or an unexpected visit that carried spiritual significance. The essence is that when devotion is sincere, it responds in ways that strengthen faith. The essence is that when the devotion is sincere, it responds in ways that strengthen faith. For me, the gift of the idol felt like such an assurance, gentle and timely. The pendant. During the centenary celebration of our beloved Sri Sathya Sai Baba, I had the opportunity to share my experience during a satsang, if you recall that. After finishing, I silently prayed for inner confirmation of His presence in this August hall. Shortly thereafter, a guest approached me and said that a relative living abroad had sent a pendant of Swami, asking him that it be given to someone appropriate. He felt that it should be given to me. There was nothing dramatic in the event, yet the timing was so precise. I had prayed quietly. The response came quietly. In the Sri Sathya Sai Charitra, devotee often sought signs of reassurance Baba would respond in ways natural to the situation, through words, objects, or even teachings that faith and patience, Shraddha and Saburi are essential. In reflecting on these two incidences, I understand them not as miracle to be proclaimed, but as reminders. When the heart turns to Him sincerely, His presence is felt sometimes through a form, sometimes through a word, sometimes through a simple gesture arranged at the right time. In Mombasa Centre, we used to have bhajans in a hall, and we would, if we see a flower falling from Baba's photo or from the altar, we will always get enlightened that Baba's presence is there. So it's a gesture which happens. Such experiences strengthen the devotee and strengthen the devotion and deepen the gratitude while keeping us grounded in humility. Baba tests us in all these things. I remember very often people used to come and say, devotees, when you sing, flowers fall. So it inflates the ego a bit. But keeping us grounded in humility is the key word here. Almost concluding, if we are not tired. Reflections. I have never visited Prashanti Nilayam. I have not traveled to India. I have never traveled to India. Yet Swami has been present in my life in Mombasa and Nairobi, in my home, in my workplace, in the seva activities, in my children's journey, in moments of crisis and happiness. I began this journey alone, almost 25 years plus. Today my entire family is part of the Sai mission. Sometimes, because of which I've slowed down maybe, I feel the family, I'm referring to them, have gone deeper than me in the Sai fold. Where perhaps I was only the instrument to bring them into the Sai fold. There is one lesson I have learned. It is this: seva purifies the heart. Faith transforms fear. Ego blocks grace. Gratitude protects us. God works silently. We are the chosen instruments. We may not always see dramatic miracles, but if we observe carefully, we will see guidance, protection, subtle grace in everyday life. Dear brothers and sisters, seva, faith, humility, and love are the pillars of Sai life. Brothers and sisters took a vow today based on this. Swami has said, for achieving anything in life, two things are essential: firm faith and pure love. Sathya Sai speaks. Swami says, love is my form, truth is my breath, bliss is my food. If we live even one of his teachings sincerely, our life becomes meaningful. I am grateful, Swami. I am grateful to Swami, who has made me his instrument. May we all continue to walk hand in hand with him. With humility, I pray that Swami blesses each one present here with good health, peace, and unwavering faith. May he guide us on the divine path of love, service, and righteousness. With love, reverence, and gratitude, let me conclude with a prayer. Samasta loka sukhino bhavantu. May all the worlds be happy. Jai Sai Ram.